Peace, family. So I'm back with another one. Today what I wanted to do is I wanted to talk to my chosen ones about how they know and are aware of what they are doing. You can never take their actions as they have no idea what they're doing. Oh, they made a mistake. They slipped up. This is not what these beings do. These beings literally focus all their energy as far as being aware in the unhealthy demonic realms of today's society. And just real life experiences, you already know, kind of brought me to this subject. I'm always going to put me out there. I don't care how they take it. You know what I mean? Once you become a part of my life, you become a part of my story. You know what I mean? And just reflecting on my last most recent experiences within like the past 5-6 months. Sometimes I take it further back. Sometimes I narrow it down to like the next week or two. Some days, like today, I'm just processing about the past few months. And for each being that I have an encounter or an engagement with, I have never not known one of them to not know what they are doing. Now, as far as what they get away with and how well they do it, it's usually up to my awareness and how much I'm willing to bring forth to the table or to the forefront. But I particularly remember like dealing with this one being. It was a male associate of mine. I've been going in on the females recently. I know. But I've been transitioning, and I do have some male counterparts who I've been dealing with some witchy stuff with too. So we wanted to take it easy as far as the females a little bit. You know what I mean? Because with the males, when you dealing with the same sex, and I guess for females, you will have to look at other women and put them in the same sex category. Not dealing with the opposite sexes, just dealing with the same. I remember I had this one buddy of mine. I just recently cut him off. We just recently stopped talking. But we already had been trickling all the way down anyways. But me and him had been cool for about 2 years and some change, you know. I was basically around for one of his children. That one had started growing, and then he had another one in the same time span. So I was kind of around for 2 of his newborn little ones, you know what I mean? So we kind of have a ship established to a degree. And what I realized is, like, we're finally closing this door to this chapter as well too, is I haven't ran into too many beings who had my best interests at heart. Now, I'm not saying that to say like everybody should care about me. It don't make a difference if you give a fuck about me or not. But when I allow you into my personal space, I do tend to weigh out the options and see the balancing scale. And now that I've been able to just kind of go back and reprocess, because I've been dealing with a lot of life just trying to get things figured out, and I didn't take the time to reflect back on certain situations, but I always reflect back on life and, you know, my daily routines and habits. That's mandatory. But as far as diving in for information, I wasn't doing that with certain beings because I had other important things to figure out. And I realized how much this man has never had my best interests at heart, from the time we started gauging until the time we stopped. And a lot of our engagements was just due to us being able to join worlds, meaning we both did the numbers. Basically, he kind of pushed those onto me, but we met in the digital world just playing 2K. But we spent mad time like just chopping up, building, going over a lot of things as far as me trying to implement new ideas to him, give him different tactics, get him out of this brainwashed mentality, mind state, you know. And I want to say my last, before I moved to where I'm at right now, was kind of like the biggest and last straw to where I had to put my feet down. And at that time, like, anybody know moving situations is pretty all over the place. You know, I ain't gonna say they're stressful, but it do be all over the place, especially in today's society, trying to find something. The numbers is all over the place. You paying way more for less and blah, blah, blah. But I remember every time I am out grinding to get my bag up, Brody would always call me and try to see if I wanted to put my energy somewhere else. Do I want to do numbers? No, I don't want to do numbers right now because I have to invest money into those numbers, and I didn't feel like risking it the exact same way. I was taking other risks. So I always am mindful of the risks that I take in life, and I don't like to compile or do too many at one time. I like to space them out, you know. And if I wasn't doing the numbers, and if I didn't want to do 2K, or if he knew I had to go out and I had to make some plays, get some money or whatever, blah, 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 he would always hit me and see if I'm trying to get on the game. The game is entertainment. That's not anything that we're building or doing. And he did this a lot. When I say he did this a lot, I mean it was more than enough. And there's been numerous situations where either he would call or I would call. We'd be on the phone chopping it up for a small second, and basically he's checking my energy to see where I'm at. And it's like, bro, you a grown-ass man. Like, you don't know how to be in your own vibrations? That part was always a little weird to me, that, you know, that's what men do with women, you know, or females do with men. You trying to temperature check and see where the vibes is at to see how much energy you want to give. So I would start talking to him about something important that I have going on, or just some business ideas, or just the channel, and as far as how I want to grow it, what I want to do. And he always gave me silence. It's always silence. For me, I get a lot of silence from beings in those spaces because it's hard for them to say what I'm doing is negative. So they cannot really belittle or beat this down in that form with that same word spell. They have to use other spells. So his method was to just go extremely silent and then switch the subject to something else. And the way it's set up out here, right? If you got time to send somebody laughing, joking memes, you know, that correlate to your relationship, or just funny stuff in general, you have to understand that they got access to all the other information to tap in to see what's actually going on out here. You know what I mean? And I had mentioned previously in one of my previous videos that I did call him out on it. Since I called him out on it, me and him haven't had no more encounters or engagements. And it was funny because I had mentioned to him how he does go silent when somebody talking to him, when I'm talking to him about something that's important to me. And he'll do random shit, like we'll be on the phone talking and say I was doing something in the background, or he was unresponsive to a statement that I made. He'll just randomly hang the phone up and blame it on the phone or the service or something like that. But it happened way too much for it to be a coincidence, and I don't believe in coincidences. See, beings like him, they already really low vibrational, and I was trying to, for one, we was meeting in an entertainment space, so it wasn't that serious. But for two, once we start engaging a little bit more, I'm trying to pick him up and pull him up out of that space, because he's a weak-ass male in a beta position. You know what I mean? Like, he's not protecting or providing for his family. You know, he's living out their house, you know, the mom and dad's house, just a whole bunch of stuff. Even like building with him and talking to him about like jobs, plantations, like doing your own business. Like, he ain't for none of that shit. It's like his process was no different than my co-host and then my other male associate that I knew from, me and my other male associate had been cool from 2009, and we had just stopped talking, engaging, I want to say like end of last year, beginning of this year. it's hard to maintain relationships with a lot of these beings because they are aware of what they're doing. They know. There's no way that they do not know what they're doing. It's not possible. You have to be extremely dumb, illiterate, a little bit challenged in order to believe that these beings are unaware of what they are doing. They tend to make moves and you know, make plays. They can create situations to make things happen in their life, you know, that they focus their energy on to do, and they're aware of. So why wouldn't they be aware of their other encounters and engagements that they're having with people? These beings are aware, you know, and that's why it always comes down to the playbook, because it doesn't matter if you put a male body or a female physical body in place. It's always the same tactics that play out. Like, I don't think that less of myself to be in a space to where it's just like, oh yeah, well, that being is different. Oh, okay, well, that being is different. Like, hell no. They all using the same playbook. If you using the same playbook, I'm putting your ass over there in the same space. And once you start paying attention, right? Once you really pay attention, you'll see how obvious it is that they are doing these things on purpose. They are very intentional in their actions, you know? And for me, it's just like, men, like he was able to do certain things because we was in the digital world, you know what I mean? But in the physical world, in real time, he wouldn't have done that. He would have did it a different way, because there's always a threat with men that it will be physical harm done. And for me, I'm one of them people that I'm sorry, once you start crossing lines and barriers and we in each other's personal space, you subject to catch these hands, you know? I ain't saying I'm gonna come out and whoop your ass, but I might just slap the shit out you. Like, it don't always have to be, let me beat somebody face into the ground. But since I am in this physical world, I like to engage with this physical world, you know what I mean? I know I'm a spiritual being, I'm very well connected, but I like to use my abilities, especially when it's called for, you know? A lot of these beings, they focus their energy and their attention on how to manipulate and to distort other people's energy and motion. This is what they do, you know? It's in their best interest to pull as many people over to the dark side as possible. It's in their best interest to make as many people as unhealthy and as insecure as they are, you know. It's no different than how we pull people over to the light. We try to push this joy, this life, this righteousness, this new old-fashioned walk of life, because it's only new to some of us because we're new to this realm. But as far as the overall concept, this is natural law. It play at its best, you know. So once you start engaging with these beings, right, one way I can always tell that they are very intentional in what they say and what they do is, I'm very straightforward. It's hard to manipulate, but so much with beings who are straightforward without the energy signature being present of their ill intentions, or the presence of their chaos and confusion. When you know you are in alignment, you know you've been putting in this work, you've been flowing in the right direction, it's easy to distinguish the other beings who are not moving in your direction. But if you're not moving in the righteous direction with the Creator, it's gonna seem like all of you beings is walking side by side. This is why it's important to be honest and straightforward, you know. You can be straightforward and not be brutally honest. You know what I mean? Meaning, if you learn the right vocabulary to use, you can be straightforward with anybody without it being brutal. That doesn't take away the pain, but it makes it less brutal. You know what I mean? So when I say that, I mean, like, you don't have to be straightforward and snap somebody's neck. You can be straightforward and they just only end up with a paper cut. A paper cut is less harmful, less dangerous, but it's still felt. It's still felt. Everybody got this thing thinking that these beings don't feel like we all feel. If you're in part of this realm, you feel. You just figured out a way to disconnect, to run away, to hide away from those things. But this is why they are so reactionary, is because of their feelings. They have no control over. Let me take that back. They have minimal control. I don't like to say no control, because they are still out here walking in this realm. If you're walking in this realm, you have some control. But when I say minimum, that means that they're under 20%. 20% is pretty low, you know. I have other beings that, for me, it's just the straightforwardness and the honesty has just always been a recipe for clarity. It's been part of the recipe for peace. It's been a part of the recipe for how to either prosper forward or to let go and to remove certain things. It's never easy being straightforward, but I guarantee you it will eliminate all of the obvious things that these other beings are saying and doing. Intentionally saying and doing. It's been times where this motherfucker is so petty to where we'll be on the phone and we'll be like, alright, I'm about to get on the game real quick. You know, and I'm telling him like, I ain't about to be up all night, you know. And then he'll wait all night to then try to call me back, like, hey bro, you still on the game, or you getting on the game? I'm like, hell no. I just said I wasn't trying to be up all night. You're working the opposite of what I'm saying, you know. Or times where he don't have me waiting. I be doing other things, but he's saying, when somebody say they're gonna do something, I tend to put the weight on their words. So it's not like, oh, I'm sitting around waiting for them. But when somebody mentions that they're going to join or they're going to do something, I put a little bit of extra accountability over there for them to do what they say they're going to do. Even though I know a lot of these beings aren't going to do what they say they're going to do, only if it's beneficial to them. You know what I mean? But if I was him too, I wouldn't want to deal with me either. You know what I mean? He didn't think I was going to be able to move and get my location changed around. He thought I was going to be in some kind of low-ass vibration like him. You know what I mean? Doing the same thing, just running around chasing my tail and not trying to do anything better or be better for mines. You know what I mean? I'm in and out the courts fighting for mines. I got mine every weekend. He got one of his that he don't even see because he won't fight for, because he's too scared and too demonic to fight for his own. It would be hard for me to be around people like me too, you know, because then it shows how weak I am. It would show how intentional I am in my actions to not be present, to not do the things that I say I want to do to become a better being and a better man in this day and age right now. This is why it becomes extremely difficult to even be around people when you start transitioning, because a lot of them, we're in a day and age where people don't want to take accountability and they're doing things intentional to pull everybody else down. The same way we do things intentional to pull everybody up. It shouldn't be that difficult to comprehend. If they aren't a half cup kind of being like you, then their cup is always half empty. So they always want your cup to be half empty, but we always want their cup to be half full. You have to look at the flip side of life and how things are functioning and operating. I've had females that I've asked straightforward questions to, and they still dance. You don't know how frustrating and difficult that is. But now I'm in a space to where I don't even take it personal anymore, and I just start deleting, blocking, and removing. I minimize my engagements all the way, you know? the way things have transitioned, the universe gave me my daughter so that way I don't have to focus as much energy on a lot of these unhealthy women that's trying to come into my life. The universe was like, all right, we'll give you a female to focus on so you can stay on track and do what you need to do out here, you know, to leave this impact, to make sure you build her up the right way, so that way she can be passed on to the next best leader that is fit and that's going to take suit and maybe not doing the same thing that I'm doing in this walk of life, but still moving righteously with the Creator, you know. They are very well aware of what they are doing. Very. I mean, to a point to where you could look at strangers. There's been times where I've just changed lanes on the road and people start slamming on the brakes. It's like, I'm not even tailing you. I literally just changed lanes and your rear view mirror driving instead of driving in your big window that's in front of you. It's always mind blowing. You braking because I switched lanes almost caused an accident. I know how to drive extremely well. I've been driving since I was 15 years old. 15. I used to take my mom's car when I was younger. So much to the point to where I knew when she was going to go to sleep, keys was always downstairs, and I would just slide right out the house. I knew what time I had to be back in the house before she woke up. And I took it so much to the point to where one day I just decided to make my own copy of keys at Walmart. So that way, on the nights when she didn't leave them down there, I still had a set of the keys to do what I needed to do, you know. But I say all that to say, like, we have to be mindful of trying to explain or express ourselves to extremely low vibrational beings. Like, once you say it once, it is what it is. Some beings, depending on their calibration, you may give them, or depending on your connection with them, may depend on whether you give them a few more opportunities or not, or whether you give them, okay, this being I only gave one explanation, this being over here I allow myself to give them 4 explanations. You know, it all weighs out, varies, but you have to be mindful of how much of it is at the detriment of your health. Once it crosses your space up here that, oh shit, I'm reiterating the same thing already, that means you're at your limit. You're at your point. You shouldn't be re-explaining and expressing yourself over the same things, the same situations, circumstances, or scenarios, you know. It should have already been picked up the first time, you know. When they tell us or tell you something, it don't take them 50 million times to have to keep saying it or reiterating, hey, I don't like that. Hey, I do like this. Hey, we're supposed to meet here. Hey, we're supposed to meet there. It's not a million times that you have to go through that process, you know. Occasionally we do become forgetful, but for the most part, we usually on point with it, you know what I mean? So you just gotta remember, keep in mind, even if you don't want to use the source or the demonic side, looking at their wordplay that they're choosing to use, and if their cup is half full with yours. Because if you're picking them up, they should be picking you up. Both cups is half full. You know that this relationship, you know, whether it's male to male, female to male, you know, is going to have more substance. It's going to be more sustainable. It's going to be stronger. It's going to be more durable. But if you are a half cup full kind of being and they are a half empty kind of being, then they're going to constantly try to remind you that your cup is half empty. And you're going to constantly remind them that their cup is half full. And it's going to constantly be this bumping heads and clashing because they want you on their vibration. You want them on your vibration. You know what I mean? But I ain't want to run it up too long. Tapping everything down below. Peace and love to the kings and queens.